Hey, this is George.
Hey, this is Frazier.
This is Real Talk with George and Frazier. How's everybody doing today?
Oh, what how you doing? I'm doing
Oh
good.
man, Frazier, we got a barn burner today, brother. A
What?
barn burner.
Man, after last week? Oh no, last week,
Oh
hey,
no, this is gonna top it. Okay, today
you think
we
so?
have. Oh yeah, man. Today we have a dating doctor. I know he says coach, consultant, but he's the date doctor, Mr.
Today, you
Clarence
think
Brown. Yeah, man, he's on the show. Yes,
you can
sir.
help everybody out there who can't get a date.
Oh no, I mean it's more serious than that. I mean the reason why I say that is because, you know, dating has changed from when, we were dating. When we were dating, the internet wasn't a thing. You know what I mean?
Internet
I mean, we still had AOL. I mean, the dial-up. You know what I
and
mean?
Yahoo. Okay, Yahoo.
Yeah,
Remember
man.
Yahoo? Hey, dating
And
on Yahoo was scary, man.
now you got
MySpace,
apps with psychological profiles. So
everything.
man, I can dig it.
But
So
I don't
now,
know, some might be incorrect because they be still wrong.
well,
Oh,
depending on,
I like flowers and dating. I want to know that
yeah,
stuff. But that
you
was the
have
point I said.
Yeah, man, you got to go ahead and vet all that information. But
Exactly.
I don't got to worry about it. I'm out the game. Been out the game
You
for
know what?
21 years. You know what I
Oh, leave
mean?
it
I'm good.
alone. Marriage, man. Leave it alone.
However, however, there are people out there that could use this kind of help. So, friends, without further ado, let's have Mr. Clarence Brown come on with us. How are you, sir?
Man, what's going on, fellas? How
What's
y'all
going
feeling?
on? What's
Doing
going
good.
on, brother?
Doing
You
good.
have
Man,
everybody
not
out here. Some struggling date dudes out here, boy.
yet. Welcome to
Yes,
Real
sir.
Talk. Definitely glad to have you. And
Thanks
definitely,
for having me. I appreciate you guys, man, giving me the platform.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh no, we enjoy it. Trust me. Last week we need some reinforcement. Some brother reinforcement.
No doubt.
So Clarence, just before we get started, I wanted you to just let the fans and the listeners know a little bit about your bio and what you do before we can get in it. I know Frage has a whole list of questions. I have some questions too. Even though I'm out the game, it's for other people.
He's
That,
married too, so he know
you
the
know what I
game
mean?
you're
So,
talking about.
Right.
I'm just saying, I have to set it up so it'd be asking him all these questions and he looking at me on the side. So I just wanted to just let him know that I have some questions too. Just help
Oh,
the
the bigger
show.
questions. You ain't dating no more. What we talking about?
I know a guy. Put it like that.
Right. Right.
I'm kidding. Hey, I'm kidding. So go ahead, sir. I apologize for being silly.
No, I mean, for everybody that doesn't know, of course, my name's Clarence Brown. I'm a relationship coach. I'm a life coach. I'm a dating coach. I've been doing it for about 7 years now. I've been able to have the ability to, or blessing to counsel many couples, many singles as well. My thing is to try to give a voice to the men and kind of give them a platform to be able to voice their experiences and feelings when it comes to relationships and just be the voice of men. And so I coined the term of male translations and the phrase behind that of what men say and women hear, because it is a difference. I've been married since 2012, and I can't tell you how many times my wife has told me something and said that I said it. I'm like, I don't remember me using any of those words. I don't even remember me using none of those phrases, none of those adjective, anything. And she like, well, that's what I heard. And it just came to me is the difference between what men say and women hear. So I've been doing my thing to be able to grow my platform of male translations to be able to help men to still continue to have a voice, because women say they want to hear from us. They say they want to understand men. So nowadays our voice as men has been suppressed. So I'm just trying to at least give that balance to the relationships and ultimately bridge the gap of communication, bridge the gap between men and women, especially in our community, because there's too many things that separate us and not enough stuff that's bringing us back together and reuniting us. So
Absolutely.
my goal is not to speak about what's right or wrong, but just bring the reality, especially from a male perspective, and then let the listeners and the viewers do with it what they make. You know what I mean? So I've been able to write a book. I've been able to do a few things with merchandise. I got my shirts on right now, shameless plug and whatnot. But for ultimately, man, my goal is to just help men and women to come back together, reconnect and unify when it comes to relationships.
Awesome. That's awesome. And
That's
the reason
awesome.
why I say that's
That's
awesome
good.
is because, being married 21 years, um, I've been to my share of counseling with my wife, and the biggest thing is communication. And I know just from experience, if you don't see a loving relationship in the house, you don't know how to translate that as
Right.
an adult. If you don't see communication in the house, and that's where I came from, my dad was emotionless, and I thought that that's what it was to be a man. So when I came to my relationship the exact same way that I saw my father depicted. You see
Right.
what I mean? And it was good, but like, for instance, I only talk when I have something to say,
Hmm.
not how I'm feeling, not what's happening in my day. Just when I have something to say, I'll talk. So, what do I have to say? Either it has to deal with bills or has to do something with the kids. You see what I mean? And past that, there's no conversation. I'm
Hmm.
not emotionalist. I'm just internalizing everything because that's how I saw it. So we had a lot of rough years in the beginning because my wife would be like, "I'm talking to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm listening." And so when she would get done talking, there was no input from me. I'd just be like, "Okay," and just walk away. So she's just like, "You're just a complete stranger." And I'm like, "No, I took in everything that you said, and I actually have an action plan in place for some of the concerns that you have. But now that you've told me, thank you, boom, and I will figure it out. If I'm successful, I'll come back and tell you I took care of this. But I
Right.
found out being deprogrammed as going to counseling was that's not what she wanted to hear. She wanted to have a conversation about it to make sure that what she was telling me was what I was hearing. That's the first thing. And some emotional assurances on my part to let her know
Right.
that some of the things that she was going through, I was empathetic to and understood it. Not
Right.
always just stone faced, don't worry about it, I got it, I'll fix it, and just walk away. That's not a relationship. That's I forgot what they said. But the long story short, I mean to talk you to death was I learned as an adult that I was emotionally abandoning my wife because I was in a relationship, but I wasn't present. I was just getting all the information. Yes, I'll take care of it. Boom, and not saying anything. No feedback. No, no, nothing. Just I'll handle it. If I tell you I got it, I got it. Don't come back to me with anything else until I come to you and tell you the issue that you had. I fixed it already. You see what I
Right.
mean? And that was the wrong way. So she came in my life to break down all those walls that I saw my father have. I can't blame them because that's how they were raised. You see what I mean? And
Right.
so if you know better, you do better. But if you don't know better, you know what I mean? That's all you got.
That's true. I mean, I'm on the other aspect of it. I'm the dating part of it. But I was married before. But see, I was the part where I didn't go to counseling. So I did
Hmm.
it, the bad part of it. Where, man, whatever, woman. I know what I'm talking about. What? And
Right.
then
Right.
it played off to a point where it's like I wasn't listening to her anymore. She wasn't listening to me anymore. And eventually just like silence. Like you walk in the house, you see each other like, oh God, her again, or him again, like, oh God. It was a point
Hmm.
where you didn't even want to meet up in the bedroom anymore. You just wanted to sit in the living room and watch TV, hope she falls asleep by the time you do go in the room lay down. You know?
Right.
Or sleep on
Right.
the couch.
Exactly. Hey, I slept on the couch. And you talk bad at this point. No, I'm sleeping on the couch. And that's one relationship I had. I just slept on the couch. I didn't even want any emotional with that person. Just like, oh no, God, argue too much,
Right.
nag too much, and it just drove me absolutely nuts. I'm like, I'm a person that I mean, I see like I'm gonna say example George page. Yeah, I did the same thing. I hear you. I understand what you're saying, but you ain't talking numbers. I can't help you. I'm gonna get the number down first and analyze it, get it done. Then come back and say, look, it's done. Case closed.
Right.
And it works sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it did work, and sometimes it did not work. And the part time didn't work. It was the arguing, the fussing, the walk out the door, or if you I was dating somebody, they would never call me back, or they would never answer the phone when I called,
Right.
or they just totally go exile. Or I would go exile. Like, no, I ain't got time for this. And I could say create a scapegoat where if I knew you were gonna leave, I left before you left. Okay, I left before you left. It
Right.
was hold on. Signs one, sign two, sign three.
Oh yeah, this ain't gonna work.
Trying to make exit.
Yeah, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
And I don't think that was not the right way to handle it. To always run from a relationship rather than just to try to build on it and try to make it better. See, on George's page, he took the initiative to actually seek help. I
Hmm.
did. I said, screw
Right.
this. I ain't got time for this. You don't want to be with me? Don't be with me. I mean, some people say it's a good attitude, some it's a bad attitude. But go back to saying how people I've seen react to things. People react to certain things. Man, I've seen do that with like cold turkey, cold shoulder, like it's whatever. Like the woman there, but not there to them. You know, it's like
Right.
if it's something they don't want to hear, then it tune them out. You heard the theory, the tune out theory? Out
Right.
one ear, not the other ear. Yeah, I hear you. Ask 5 minutes, what's that, huh?
Right.
I don't hear that. You
Too
know?
funny.
But I mean, I think though, man, it's one of those what y'all both were speaking to. We all as men deal with, man, and I mean the difference between I think some guys and others is the ability to say, you know what, like I'm at least open to trying to work something out or figure something out, right? To me, I think that comes from for me. This is not me speaking what most men, I'm just talking about straight Clarence. So Clarence, the way I look at it is I hate double standards. So I make the adjustments on my end because I see that my wife is willing to do it for me. So I think that I got a strong personality. My wife has a strong personality, but because of that, I still know that listen, there's certain stuff as a man, I gotta be that man. So it's like you got a strong personality, that's cool. But I'm quick with it. I got away with words, and I know behind certain principles and certain characteristics, certain morals that there can't be a double standard. It has to be, hey, listen, if you gonna do this to me, then I can do this to you. Or if you can't do this to me, then I can't do this to you. So all of that makes it now an open playing field to say, okay, well, what ways can we try to make this situation work for the betterment of the both of us? And I think
Right.
with George, when he went to counseling, I'm looking at the fact that he even accepted the proposal. You know what I'm saying? So where most of us like as men, we like, man, listen, man, you get in that mode where you like, man, bro, I know I'm right, or I know I didn't do anything wrong, so I don't have no reason to bend on this right now because I don't really feel like I should have to, right? Now, even now with George, it's like if he felt like we don't need counseling, I don't need nobody to tell me nothing. Why should I have to bend on this? Because I didn't do anything wrong, or I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a man. But just that small part of just saying, all right, cool, I'll listen is the difference why I think a lot of us, seem to part ways because just that willingness to say, all right, well, I can at least admit to some of my flaws that you may mention. Now, with that being said, after I admit that I got my flaws, now I'm about to go ahead and run you itemized receipt of all your flaws. But that's not the tit for tat, but just to say, hey man, listen, we both can work on certain areas. I'm gonna admit and commit to fixing mine, but while I'm in the process, it's some certain things that don't work for me too that I need you to kind of adjust for me. You know what I mean? And then that hopefully, will lead to y'all moving in a direction together.
Oh
True.
yeah, absolutely.
That is true.
The thing that I learned in all this time before I ask you all these dating questions was you have to kind of be selfless. The one thing that I learned is the fact that everything that's wrong with your relationship is you and your fault. Okay. Until you can fix you, you won't see everything else. You know what I mean? Clearly. Because the first thing that we do is we don't listen, we attack. If because if we're dating or if we have a wife or a partner, we're completely vulnerable to them. You know what I mean? So a stranger on the street can tell you what your wife told you, but you'll laugh at the stranger on the street, but your wife, it'll cut you so deep to the point you screaming and hollering in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Because you're
yeah,
vulnerable to that person, and that person knows all your deep and dark secrets, and vice versa.
Right.
You know, so if you fix yourself first, then you're more susceptible to hear what the real issue is because it's not the problem is not the problem. The problem is the issue that has to be fixed. And so your spouse is not the enemy. You see what I mean? She's
Mm-hmm.
not the problem.
yeah,
It's the problem that she's trying to communicate that needs to be fixed. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Right.
And that's where you have to be able to go back and forth. But, you know, like I said, if you don't know any better, you won't do any better. So, in my relationship, I was just like, okay, I mean, I don't feel like I've done anything wrong, and I'll go to counseling and listen because I'm not perfect. You see what I'm saying? And I
Mm-hmm.
know that there's some things here that I need to fix because even in my father's relationship with my mother, it was just like, I know that's how you guys always have done it, and I don't know any better. So let me pick up books, let me listen to tapes, let me hear some other things. I mean, a great book that I found was Men from Venus and Women from Mars and how they communicate, and other books that would.
But I'm saying they people most of the time you gonna get labeled as soft from other men. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you saying, hey, listen, I don't know all the answers, I don't have all the secrets or the ins and outs to make it. I'm willing to say, okay, well, I know I have flaws. Just that alone, most of us be like, hey man, I know I got flaws, but F all that. Like I
You
know
know,
I
You're
got
absolutely right.
you're
You're
right. You're
absolutely right.
right.
However,
Don't of it.
you
Don't
I'm a
example
little
of
bit.
it.
Wait, hold on. Let me just come in with that. You're absolutely right. But in my case, I'm a little swole, and I've been a martial artist for like 30 years. So we can have that conversation. But how you approach me as a man on soft, it has to be just a little bit different. You
It's
know
been
what I mean?
But I'm saying they may not come across and say you soft out loud because they don't want to offend you, and I don't want to offend you. But I'm just saying, generalize as men speaking
Exactly.
about counseling amongst men. It's just looked at as something that's not really the route to take as a man. It's like, nah, you handle it, you figure it out. If y'all separate, so be it. Whatever the case is, you find
yeah.
somebody doing all that. But like, to me, it's still gonna come down to your willingness to make it work on your end. And everybody got flaws, but as a man, are you gonna be willing to say, you know what, bro? Like, man, I reckon. And to me, like I said, it may not be all just based on I just love her. I mean, I do love my wife, but yet I know I'm stubborn too as a man. There's certain things I'm like, man, listen, I ain't with that. But
Yeah.
if I notice that you're gonna make these sacrifices for me, then I'm gonna go ahead and be more willing to change for you and make more adjustments because I see that you're doing that for me. That's how I operate. I want to say it's because I'm just I'm because I'm a dating coach and all of this. Like it's about the love and it's about the like. Nah, man, I'm gonna be honest, bro. It's because I know my wife she's making those adjustments for me, so I'm not gonna. And there's plenty of times she'll say, "Well, you making a fit about this, you arguing about this, but I don't do you like that." Or if you ask me to do something, I don't give you all of this. So then that is one argument that I can't really come back from. I just be like, you know what? All right, cool. You right. All right. Even though I'm still irritated,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I
That,
mean not to cut you off, Fraser. I'll let you answer your question. I
oh,
know you got like 5 or 6 of them, all right? However, but just to interject with that, um, you have to, because you're also going to learn in that particular process, not just your spouse or because you're always growing. You're not the same person that you were when you met your spouse. You know what I mean? Through life and
yeah.
everything, you're both growing, but you're also going to learn and grow together in that, and that causes the security that you both need to communicate transparently and freely.
Right.
You know what I mean? Go ahead, Fresh.
Nah, well, I was gonna say was the same thing we were saying. Communication. I mean, some people we don't really communicate. I mean, as men, I don't think we gonna say what we really want in a woman. We don't really say that. We hope she knows what we really want. Like she a woman, she knows what we want. We should not have to ask you or tell you. I would taught 3 men like 3 things in life: cook for me, sex me up, and leave me alone when football season come around. Simple, simple as that. Those 3 things that you good, we good. But it's not that way though. In reality, it's not that way. The reality is, women want the time and certain time, like communication to there. Men at a certain part of age, we feel like we need to do something, urgency, the sense of urgency. We gotta get it done. And a lot of times, we sacrifice a lot of things, especially come time, relationships, and a lot of things that we put that on back burner. Look, hey, I got a goal. I gotta make this. I gotta take care of my family. I gotta do this. But we block that everything else. We block out. If it ain't about how to get it focused, how to get it done, we focus out. And a lot of women don't understand that. And then a lot of times you lose a lot of relationships like me. When I get focused, I'm focused. It's like I tune stuff out. But is that a good thing to do? No, it's not. And you go back to what George said, you have to communicate, you have to understand. And then back to what you said also, if she willing to sacrifice, you must make sacrifice too. But at the same time, I feel like some men don't communicate where we do now in our urgency mode that, hey, it's for us. It's for the future, for longevity. It's not for the short term. It's for longevity. I want to give you the things you want, not having to say, I wait next pay period to get, or I wait this to this, whatever. You want to do so much, but they don't allow you sometimes to be that way, or to, I say, patient enough to wait for that time to happen. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they want everything done now. They actually like, pay a bill. I'll pay later. No, but I want it done now. Pay it. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna get to it. Then that's also a good thought argument because they want it done right then and there. When they mention it, they want it done. Not
Right.
later.
Well, see, here's the thing, bro. I mean, from my understanding, I think it's like they really want to be involved in everything. They want to feel a part of it all, right? And then when you say something like, "Hey, I'll take care of it," let's say just whatever the bill, and I'll take care of it. You know, I'm gonna handle it. I got a plan and an order to how I'm gonna break it down. My budget says, "Hey, I got enough money to put on this bill." Then boom, 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 boom. But it's all gonna get worked out. Well, if it all works out, then that's your leverage. Hey, remember, hey, did I pay that bill last time?
That's right.
All right, cool. All right.
Exactly.
So I just want to make sure it was paid on time, right? All right, great. So now there's no room for you to really get upset because I have the past, my history, my track record says that the last two times that you was on me about this, it got paid and it got taken care of. But I feel like what George was speaking to, when it came to example, when you saying something about y'all have a conversation, she tells you everything, and then you kind of internalize it, say, okay, great, boom, and you walk away, and she's like, well, no, I wanted more. It's because she wanted to either be involved in the process, or she wants to be involved by understanding where you are along your planning, your process of how you putting it all together. So whether it may be, hey, well, I don't know the whole thing broken down from A to Z, but what I have so far from what you told me is I think we need to work on X, Y, and Z, or we need to acquire this, or we need to da da da.
Right.
These are the thoughts that are in my mind. She wants for you to put your thoughts out for her to be able to also see and be involved in your thought process. Or your development process of executing whatever plan you're gonna put together for y'all. So that those are the stuff that she's looking for.
Yeah,
That's
no doubt
what I
about it.
experience.
No doubt about it. Because in your house, you're the head of your house, and if you're not the head of your house, that actually causes problems. But the
Mhm.
flip side to that is this: a woman will only follow you if you know how to lead. And leading is not screaming at her. Leading is moving by action and saying, okay, I
Mhm.
have this in place, I have that in place, I have this in place. This is what I'm doing, so forth and so on. And this is how we're going to get there. Sometimes that's a day to day conversation, week to week conversation, month to month conversation. But you kind of have to have those conversations. With that being said, Clarence, I have a question for you.
Go
What
ahead.
is it like dating in this age of cell phone and app? Why am I saying that? Because we're starting to see social media where it's gotten to a point where nobody knows how to put the lid back on it. Kids don't have filters. They say anything they want to say on social media. They send anything over social media, whether appropriate, inappropriate. You know, how has the dating game changed from 1997 to 2020? What's the biggest problems that you're seeing when it comes to your clients and your coaching? And what are some of the biggest issues that they're tackling now in today's age?
I mean, I think it's actually a lot like it has always been, and the saying, ain't nothing new under the sun, is always been true. But the form of treachery, or the form of let me not treachery, the form of uh let's say communication in which these forms of treachery are taking place has changed. So it's not like you getting a page, or you getting a beep, or y'all passing a letter. It's all electronic. But it's still the same issues that's going on right now, and I think everything is for self. The only one of the major things that has changed is that now not only men but women also have the ability to play however they want to play it. So with that being said, when you making your own money, when you have the ability to take care of yourself, now that gives you a whole world more of options than you had back when our moms and dads and grandmothers were in place. So a man could get away with being a man of few words as long as he is providing and protecting,
Right.
because that's all he needed to do. So he didn't, like your father George or your grandfather, whom not, they may not have had to be as compassionate and kind and considerate as a man today is expected to be.
Yeah. It's his internet connection. He'll come back.
Internet connection.
Yeah, You know what I mean?
We lost you for a minute,
So
Clarence.
whatever we can get out of it, and women the same.
Right. Yeah,
Exactly.
you were kind of buffering for a little bit, but I think we
Yeah.
got the gist of it. Go ahead, Fraser.
Oh, well, my question is this different. One thing they go piggyback what you said about dating changed so many years. Like, what a difference between the age differential with dating? Like, the difference between a 20-year-old dating, 30-year-old dating, and the 40-year-old dating versus the 50-year-old dating. Like, your experience has it changed this point more harder to date
Mhm.
than in your 20s than in your 30s? Oh, he
Yeah.
got kicked off of the
Okay, he'll
internet.
be back. No big deal. Sometimes that happens. Um,
You
Good
know,
conversation, and the reason why I say good conversation is because as men, we don't have those conversations among ourselves. We a lot of us we internalize it because we see emotions as weakness. But what we don't understand is our emotions are our strength. Okay, because when you are able to handle your emotions, then all of a sudden your stress level will go down. Why? Because you don't put and internalize everything in your body. You're able to explain it and control it. Like Fraser, you remember me, man. I was a hot. I was hot. So the reason why I would always stay quiet was because I had to process everything that was coming at me. So I just didn't blow up uh, unnecessarily because I misread a situation or I felt like I was being disrespected or something. That's just being young. You see what I'm saying? So,
exactly.
hey, Clarence,
Oh, he's
great to have
back.
you back. Yeah, he's back.
Nah, man, sorry about that. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Wi-Fi,
Trust
don't worry about it.
Wi-Fi. We all had that experience. Believe me, I tell you.
Well, nah, I mean, I was saying, when it came to the question about the dating, I think Fraser, you was asking me about the difference in
The age,
uh
the
ages,
age.
right? I mean, here's the thing, right? It is harder to find someone to match what it is that you want when you are older in age. And I think it is easier for you to date when you're in your 20s, and early 30s, I think, even because you don't worry about as much. You don't have as much on your list that says, okay, well, a good person that I want to be with from now to the end of time has to have X, Y, and Z, and you're a lot more free spirited with whom it is you choose to spend your time with, as opposed to when you get older. Now it's almost like, man, listen, you got to make sure. I mean, if you're gonna be around me, you got to bring me some peace. You got to make sure that are making me laugh. You got to be making sure that it's something that I feel is of value for me having you share my space. You know what I
Right,
mean? So when you are older, I think it does get so, let's so 20 to 30, it's a lot more easy. I think that when it comes to just finding somebody, people aren't looking at the forest through the trees, so you're more susceptible to just get into any old relationship and work through it. This is an issue most of the time for women, though, because they have a lot more of their bad decision making in their early years, and then now when they get 30, 40, 50, it becomes harder for them because they feel like they are going to be set in their ways, and they have a skewed perception of men that makes it hard for them to be successful with men based upon the decisions that they made when they was younger. Either they had kids with the wrong person, or they got with the wrong guy and he cheated on them, did a bad, that broke a heart and all of that. And then now in their 30s, they feel like, oh, I gotta neck roll about how I go about things. When a man come in my space, let me see what you coming with, because now my time, they feel is more valuable. So, and they're not wrong for that, but that's one of the differences. So from 30s going on into 40s, you pretty much say, I mean, women, they pretty much say, hey, listen, well, man, if this is what is all out there, then I'm just going to stay set in my ways based upon what they feel like is the quality or lack of quality in a dating pool. And so they feel like, well, if this is all that there is to be out there, then I'm not going to change. A man going to have to change for this. And the same can be said for men, where it's like, man, you pretty much set in how you view the opposite sex, so therefore you become more set in your own ways and expect someone who comes into your space to make more adjustments and compromises and sacrifices to be with you. So that's why I think that it is harder. It does become harder when you get older up in age. if you are still able to understand that you're gonna have to make some sacrifices, then you're gonna have a better time as you get up in age to find somebody to make it work with.
Let me follow up on that, Clarence. You're relatively young, or at least you look relatively young to me.
Mhm.
Um, do you find it hard getting clients where they're just like, that little young boy ain't gonna be able to tell me anything? You know what I mean? Because it's just like, you have a 50-year-old man that you're talking to that hypothetically that you're trying to help him figure out some things, and he's just looking at you like, boy, go out and sit someplace, man. You know what I mean? Like, it just does it translate that way, or do you still get your respect based on what you've been able to accomplish in having those conversations?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I do. Sometimes I get those side eyes because the dudes are, like I said, though, we're the most judgmental of another man, and it's hard for a man to take leadership from another man. You're gonna have to prove yourself before a man decides to follow you. Now, a woman, she'll respect game or she'll respect, things at face value, but another man, we need a resume, we need a background check on you, we need to know if you're gay, we need to know like what your story is like. We need to know all of this stuff. So I gain my respect by just being transparent and fair. And a lot of times I think men often respect me because I'm able to speak some of the things that they feeling to that woman in a way where it's more receptive for them to understand exactly what he's been trying to say for the longest. And I think once a man recognizes that I'm not just here trying to take the woman's side and actually listening to him and get through some of the things he wants to get through to his lady, then that respect is gained and earned even from those men that have been older than myself. And the thing that I rest upon is that we all go through the same thing, bro. We just handle it differently. You know what I mean? So we done all been in we done all talked to a woman. We done all had sex with a woman. We done all, been in a relationship with a woman. We done all, to a certain extent, been married or had a divorce. So it's certain things that we all experience. And so if most of the times what I also use as my tool to get men to understand and kind of, see where I'm coming from is that, bro, like I've been married for, I may be young, but I've been married since 2012, been with my wife for 11 years, been married 8. So, I'll let my wife speak to them.
Right,
And the
right,
reason why I do that is because I don't want for him to think that, yeah, I'm talking all it's people out here that are in this lane of relationships and couples and dating and advice and all of that aren't even in a relationship, let alone married. You
right.
know what I mean? And I always felt like it's very powerful for the person that is with that man or woman to speak on their behalf to really get a picture on if this person know what they're talking about. Because I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but it don't mean nothing if my wife is on the outside of the door, just like, man, nigga, please.
Right, absolutely,
That happens a lot, doesn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah,
So we have
side
a
there.
question really quick from Alicia, and she's asking about dating and celibacy. Do you feel like there needs to be a pause, either being celibate when you're in a relationship, so you can build upon other things in that relationship before you go to the intimacy, or does it just, in your professional opinions, is it just go with the flow and just move as the relationship moves? Because sometimes I know, I'm talking to people, they were like, okay, we dated, we didn't have any physical activity, we wanted to wait until we got married, or they dated, then when they got engaged, they said, okay, from the time the engagement until we get married, we want to wait. Just it's almost like a fast, almost just to
Mhm.
consecrate everything. Let's build on a little bit more, because at that particular point, you have marriage counseling you have to do, you have all this other stuff that you have to do. So let's just take a break physically from dating to wedding. What's your take on dating and celibacy? Does it help? Does it not help? Does it make the heart grow fonder? What do you think?
I think it helps only if both parties are truly accepting of the terms. And I think a lot of times, women find it, first of all, it's way easier for a woman to be celibate than it is a man. That's number one. I mean, it's just, it's, what is it, chemistry? I mean, it's just way easier for a woman to do that. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean there aren't some women out there that got that drive like a man. Okay, cool. To me, they're the exception, not the rule. But when it comes to celibacy, I believe once both of them two are agreeing on the terms, then it can work. And that is because the terms are renegotiable.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that I think is based upon them going into it and saying we just need to make sure we're both on the same page. So if ever I feel like I'm unable to go forward to the same length that you want me to, I need you to be able to understand that as well. And so I think that if, like example, George, you propose something like where, hey, listen, we are together, we are engaged. Once we get engaged, from the time we get engaged to the time we get married, then we're going to decide and come to an agreement that we're going to wait and go on that fast. If that person is still due to marry you, and he or she says, hey, listen, you know what, like I know what we said and what we agreed upon, but right now, like I feel like I'm in need of some physical attention, then I think that you guys can revisit that agreement and still, make
Right.
adjustments to that,
Right.
and I still get it in
Right.
and not feel guilty about it, right? But I do think it doesn't work when two people genuinely aren't on the same page or aren't willing to talk about when they feel weak in that stage of celibacy.
Right.
So I think, especially with men, like we go into it like, yeah, I can do it, and then a week or two pass, and you like, man, you ain't know it's gonna be like this,
Right.
you know what I mean? And then you're afraid to really voice that to your lady because you don't want to seem like, oh, you're not strong enough. And listen, I tell my wife before, I like, listen, as a man, I know in certain areas I'm not as strong as you in, so I'm just go ahead and get that off the table, get that off my chest, so we ain't got to even trip, just because it's certain areas that I know that I'm not as strong as you in. You know what I'm saying? So as a man, sometimes we internalize that and don't voice the fact that, yo, right now I'm kind of struggling to just keep my mind focused because I haven't gone this long. And then I said this to my wife. I say it's hard for me to be physically attracted to a woman and live with you every day and think nothing of it, you know what I mean, and not want to be with you. So you got to understand that's also a struggle too. It would be different. It was boyfriend, girlfriend. You go to your place, I'm at my place. But when we living together and when we trying to do this celibate thing, recognize that I'm still physically attracted to you, right? I'm
Right.
sexually attracted to you as well.
Right.
So during this whole process, like, don't just think that I'm just supposed to flip the switch and now, like, I'm just no longer a man, and on top of that, I'm no longer attracted to you. Like,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Oh yeah, a lot of people struggle. Jesus, take the wheel.
yeah.
Like
I
it's
just
it's
can't
rough.
do
You
it.
know what I mean? Because there is that
I'm
physical.
saying, so as a man, as a leader though, you got to be able to say, hey man, listen, you know what? Like, I'm man enough to say, like, right now I'm just feeling a little weak right now, and I need something. And if it ain't gonna be vaginal, maybe some I need something, right?
Right.
And then we can recommit to this agreement.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
exactly.
So the key to that basically is just communication.
Right.
Yeah, true. That's
And a leader, you gotta be strong enough to be like, man, bro, like I'm weak right now, cuz you know what I'm saying? It's a fourth quarter, you have to
exactly.
bring it on, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, hey, first to go, we gotta do something. What's going on here? Go on.
Right.
Definitely do. Because it's that
Ooh,
lack of
yeah.
communication that people fall astray. You feel like you have to always stay committed to, or you got to stand up straight. And a lot of times, like, even on one of another show that we had mentioned, that's where all these cheating apps come in, where you
Right.
can you get your creep on and nobody will know. But I'm like, it never happens like that. In this
Nah,
digital age, somebody will always know. You know what I
exactly.
mean? And you have to look at yourself in the mirror first, not sometimes all the time. And like you said, accountability. A lot of people don't recover from those type of violations, those type of things. If you're in a marriage where a father was unfaithful to your mother, it cuts you as a child because you see the damage, that happens from that, and a
But
lot of times,
hey, not to cut you off, George, but one of the things that is different now is the fact that you do some dirt, bro. Like, you have to. It's you almost guaranteed to get caught because any message that you send can be screenshotted. Any DM that you send can be screenshotted. And it's going to show that, no, this is Clarence. See this picture? This Clarence. That's him right there. It ain't no is that might be him or is no, that's him. So that's one thing that's different nowadays. As you was talking about that, man. Like, man, listen, you do something, and the woman get mad or the man get mad, like, I'm screenshotting, I'm sending these messages to if they know you have a girlfriend on your social media, they gonna kind of figure out who she is or who he is, find her direct, like.
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
true.
What
But
are some of the I know I asked you what were some of the main issues and problems that your clients come to you with? Um, Not just the issues and the problems. What are you seeing as far as dating relationship? Are people kind of getting it, or are people really struggling with that concept of communication and transparency? Because, you know, it's nothing new, but the thought process is 100%, 100% makes 200%. That's what we have. We were actually taught that I bring 50%, you bring 50% relationship, and we got 100%. Well, there's a
Mhm.
100% deficit because I'm not a 50% of a man. I'm 100% of a man, and you're
Right.
100% of a woman. You see what I mean? So that 200% is what we bring to the table, not the 100%. Do you think
Right.
that that's really the philosophy that people are coming to the table with in these relationships, or is that unique? That's something that has to be kind of instilled in them, so to speak.
It has to be instilled in them.
Okay.
It has to be instilled in them. Just because, as I said before, man, when you had the ability to take care of yourself without to depending on anybody else, now you of the mindset of, well, what you got? Show me what you got. What
Right.
and so you know this phrase that I don't know where it started, when it started, but what are you bringing to the table?
Right.
This is like a woman's go to when it comes to any man, because a man, even from the times of our fathers and grandfathers, has always been expected to bring surplus, bring benefit, bring addition, never subtraction, never taken away, never pulling away from. Right?
Right.
It's always to bring in addition. So now, when it comes to dating, one of the main things that both my male clients and my women clients have an issue with is trying to not just expect for someone to show what all they're bringing to the table, but be vulnerable enough to show who it is they are and what they bring to the table.
Right.
Like, it's always this issue of, well, I know who I am, I know what I bring to the table, so therefore I expect A, B, and C. But yet I have to basically slow them down to understand, well, that's all well and great, but yet you can't decide who you are to that person and where you stand in their life. So just because, man, you feel like, hey, listen, I'm a great guy, I'm a good guy, I can have any woman I want. Well, yeah, you could have any woman you want, but it seemed like you want this one. That's why you here, bro.
That's right.
So
that's true.
if
Right.
this is why you here, then you got to understand, to make this situation work, you're gonna have some things to do on your end to make it work and meet that middle ground. It's called middle ground. That means you have to give some to get there. You know what I mean? So, and for women as well, it's, well, I know I should be a wife. Like, I know what I do. I cook for family. I do that. Yeah, but you have this attitude of, well, I'm all of this, and that, and the third in a bag of chips. What you expect him to be like? He's gonna be like, man, you tripping right now, because, hey, you can't make yourself my wife. Only I can do that.
Exactly.
So
Right.
I propose to you and ask for your hand in marriage for you to be my wife. So no matter how good you feel about yourself or what all you bring to the table, well, yeah, but you still gonna have to do some stuff to meet this middle ground for us to make it work, and me to see value in you as a wife. And so
Right.
these are the things that I'm trying to instill into some of my clients, both male and female, because that, to me, I think is the biggest issue. Whereas, hey, I'm doing well for myself, I don't really need him. Or, hey, why I got to do that? Like, I could have it. Like, I could just leave it. Yeah, you could, but you gonna find yourself in the same situation if you don't fix these issues of this. I'm the catch, so therefore you step up and show and prove.
Right.
Exactly.
Are you seeing a lot of um, damage as far as people bring emotional baggage to their relationships, which causes complete shutdown? You know, whether it be abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, because that also locks you down too. Like, for instance, my father, when I wasn't being the best he could be, would always tell me, "You're not going to amount to anything, or you stupid." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that stuck with me for a long time because I always felt like I knew I was smart, but I wasn't smart to him. You know what
Right.
I mean? And he was the one that I had to impress. I remember one time when he started martial arts, because the martial arts training was so hard, he was like, You always start things and don't finish things. So when I got my black belt, I actually gave my black belt to him and said, I finished this. Now watch what I do. You know what I mean? And I
Mm-hmm.
remember that it wasn't until I was probably in my early 30s and he was talking to me about a business plan and proposal. And I was telling him all the ideals for this particular plan and the direction that it could go for marketing, development, projections, everything. And he's right on the phone. I'll never forget it. He said, "Wow, I didn't realize you were so smart." Now this is after I had a bachelor's degree and I think I had just finished my master's program. But it punched me in the chest, and I was like, "Well, what did you think it was? That was in me. What did I show you as a child?" But then I used to go back to those things that I did that maybe things that cut me deep as a child. Do you feel like a lot of people bring baggage, too much baggage to their relationship, trauma, abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, that compounds the situation? And how do you start to peel those layers off?
Well, I mean, it's just asking probing questions that aren't just yes or no, but actually make them reveal what is deeper beneath the surface. And so when you start peeling these layers back, I do believe that a lot of us have trauma and issues that we have dealt with, or should I say, haven't dealt with fully, right? We maybe have acknowledged them, but yet we haven't really dealt with them. We acknowledge them and then push them really, really deep down, deep inside of us. And then now when we get into a relationship with somebody, these things are triggered, and then we don't really understand that no, that was actually from that past relationship, or that was something that was even before that I still deal with or have an insecurity about, that I don't really know how to talk about or deal with. So yet I'm gonna get mad, but I'm not gonna really tell you why I'm mad or where it came from and how deep it really goes. I'm gonna just let you know, for me, that don't work for me. I'm mad. All right.
Right.
And so I think that when it comes to a lot of the clients that I've dealt with in the past, that issue of unresolved drama or trauma um, are the things that really put us in a position where, like I said before, where you feel like I'm the catch, like show and prove me. And I'm gonna tell you, when you are chasing something for so long and it's eluding you, you start to question yourself. And I
Right.
think a lot of people get upset because they feel like, man, I felt like I didn't do anything wrong, or I felt like I was betrayed, or I felt like, the person didn't see value in all the things that I feel like I possess and present to somebody I'm dating. And so for that reason, you don't look inside yourself and say, well, what ways can I show better of these qualities? No, you say, you know what? Nah, man, I know I'm this. So this is how I'm going to perceive myself, and how I'm going to project myself is, hey, I'm this, that, and the third. And if you want to be with me, you need to and it doesn't matter. It's not gender specific. It's just that men, we carry it in more of a bravado, charismatic type way, right? Which does attract more, saying bees attract the honey. So if you kind of come across like, yeah, I got it going on, a lot of women are attracted to that. But I'm just saying that when it comes to women, it doesn't work for women. But that's the way that we go about it. We go about it like, hey, man, listen, man, I know I'm this guy. I know I'm a good guy. I might have cheated, but I know I'm a good guy. I be lying sometimes, but I know I'm a good guy. And then you got some women like, hey, listen, well, I know sometimes, I don't be doing this, but I'm still a good woman. I know I have an attitude, but I'm still a good woman. I know, sometimes I be tripping and I don't be wanting to do this and that. I don't want to submit, but I'm still a good. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just the whole, that's just how it goes right now. And so this is why being a life coach and relationship coach, you're always gonna have a job, because there's always people that have these issues where it's really, a lot of the issues are really deep beneath the surface. It's not most of the time just, what, like, I just don't know right now, and you just help me to just see the light. Like, no, a lot of times the sessions take at least, I would say, three sessions for people, one, to feel comfortable, two, to really express what's really beneath the surface, and the third session is to start working on those issues that are deep beneath the surface. Because first of all, they're just gonna tell you well, this happened and that happened and I got mad, and then so you got to get beneath that stuff, and then in the process make that person feel comfortable being more open and vulnerable. Then they really gonna tell you what happened, or what happened the week before, that was the stuff that sprung this argument. You see what I'm saying? And then you start working through it.
Do, do you
Oh,
feel like in black communities, our biggest problems is we don't have fathers. If we do have fathers, we have absentee fathers, fathers that are working two jobs to keep the house going, so they're never in the house. And mainly, we've been raised solely by our mothers and our grandmothers. This is a trend throughout the entire black community. I don't care where you're from, Africa, the Caribbean, United States, Europe. It's always been a thing of an absentee father. And I
Right.
think two things that I learned is father is crucial because a father teaches a son how to be a man and gives him that confidence to be a man because the father recognizes all the things that the boy's going through because the father went through it.
Hmm.
But the second thing is the father's the one that gives the daughter the security that she needs to be a woman because he tells her, "You're beautiful, you're this, you're that." And
Hmm.
once she knows that she has that, she skyrockets because she doesn't need to look for it in the street. So do
Right.
you feel like you know, our biggest crutch in our communities is our lack of fathers, or is it just we've done the best that we can do with our mothers and grandmothers, and we just have to figure it out, as we get older, like looking for the knowledge, like finding out what's wrong with me. Where do you fall on that?
I think it's a little bit of both, man. I mean, like, yes, there is a lack of fathers, and the more fathers that we have, the better in teaching our young men how not only to be men, but how to treat women and how to deal within any type of relationship, whether it be friendship or a dating or intimate relationship, business relationship, all of these things where a father comes into play. But I just think personally, it's just mentors. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be your father, but I think if you didn't have a father, the people around you have to take pride in being somewhat of a mentor and directing you down the right path. And I think in our community as black men, I think if it isn't your father, 9 out of 10 times, your mentor or your influence as you're a young man growing up isn't always positive or isn't always consistently around.
Right,
So it's one of those two things where, as your father, he has obligation, but sometimes if you don't have a father that's present or in the house, then you don't get him enough to really make an impact or to be a bigger influence than some of the things you see on a daily basis. And so now if you're in a place where you don't have a father, then now it's incumbent upon those people that are around you at our men to be that consistent mentor that I personally don't think that we are doing enough of. I think when it comes to certain men, if I coach basketball, right? But I
right,
see certain men that, hey, listen, if you ain't my son, it's like, man, God bless you.
right,
You know what I mean? I think we have to look at more young men that aren't our sons as our sons and actually step up and be the man that you may feel like is absent in this young man's life. Because me as a basketball coach, I've seen some of the young men like really like it's almost like they look at me like I'm that bigger brother, I'm that big uncle, that I'm that guy that they're picking up mannerisms from and how to walk, how to talk, swag, different type of stuff because they don't know where else to get it from.
right,
They have a consistent person that they can pick up these type of ways to operate and stride and go about life from. And I think that's just one of the things that's lacking when it comes to just us as young men and older men being able to lean on one another to gain advice from them. Like you said, I'm a younger guy, but me even taking a step to be able to be a leader of men and women at a young age, because I'm only 34. It came from older men giving me the confidence and the wisdom enough to be able to feel good about what I'm saying and strong about what I'm saying because I know it's coming from a good place, a genuine place. And what I don't know, I'm willing to learn from somebody who's wiser than myself or more experienced than myself. So I'm not like, just here like, nah, I know it. Like if you older than me and you able to give me some game, I'm open enough to be able to take that and receive it. And I
right.
think we got to be more willing on in receiving it and more willing to give it to people that aren't related to us or our kin.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
absolutely.
That's true.
I can appreciate that because I'm a martial arts instructor, and I've worked with at-risk youth, and to see those young boys to be men now and be married and have families of their own and come back to me and tell me it was because of you. It's you know, there's no money in the world. There's no nothing in the world. It's just a special place in your heart that you gave a bit of yourself. but you were that a person of integrity that you said you were, and you never changed from back then till now. You know, I mean, and that's how serious sometimes it has to be, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the security that a lot of people are looking for, like you said, you know, to be that person that bedrock, that person that they can talk to, that person that they can confide in, because they're not getting that. I think that that's just so crucial. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
exactly. Yeah. Let's piggyback what you said. Like, question like say that how the men father's absence stuff like that. Then they play a lot of part in why some men cannot live up to some of the standards that women set because of that reason that we had no role models, no mentor to help
Right.
you build yourself up to those standards. So we just
Mhm.
find some African American men can't build up to the standard or live up to the hype that African American women want them to be. That provider, that person to be a protector, that person. If you ever taught to be a protector, you don't know how to. You want to talk to be
Right.
a provider, you don't know how to. I mean,
Right.
certain things you have to learn in steps, and you have to do. You wasn't there to be absent. And you see some people now you see like, abuse. Now you see like dating go crazy because they can't keep nobody, or they already arguing because they already feel like bumping heads.
Right.
And now there's some books to say like like a famous book, it says 30 days, wait 30 days, whatever. Why some men cannot have that discipline to say I can wait 30 days not having sex, or I can wait this long time because we don't know how to wait. We want to talk how to wait. We
Right.
want to be patient, you know. Now saying that, what do you think about some women sometimes submit to some of the standards, bring the standard down a little bit in order to meet that person they want, or say keep the standard that high and hoping they get that person in their standards? What do you think about that?
Man, listen, I think the half the battle is trying to be what you expect out of another person. I think that not some, a lot of women have their standards to a place where it's very hard for a man to meet them. But to me, that's not the issue. The issue is how you got all these standards and you not meeting half of them. Like, to me, that's like, come on, man. Like that again, double standards. Anybody watch my podcast knows I hate double standards, And so this is why I'm like, listen, if you have all of this quality, you better be a damn good person. You better be a damn good woman. Because now when I do my assessment, my audit, then now I'm saying to myself, well, I should be good then based upon what I see.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? I think that does play a role. I think women's standards can be a bit too high. I have in my book called a chapter. The last chapter is titled Expectations versus Reality. So expectations kind of speak to standards that a woman may have. It's good to have some standards because if you don't, then you never know what direction the relationship is going to go and what direction it's going to take, right? So it's always good to have certain levels of expectations and standards, but remember, you got to juxtapose that with reality. You got to compare that to the reality of the situation. So it's certain things that a woman feels like she's unable to bend on, but yet I've seen plenty of women that have certain standards that, you get them in the right setting, the right type of music, the right type of wine or whatnot. And then all of a sudden now it's like, I always liked it, you Clarence. I just,
Hey.
no matter what, and you just thinking like, see.
Yeah,
And so I think that the it's always good to have expectations and standards, but let's look at reality and say what's most important. And I oftentimes really have to get women to understand it. This is specific to women. I have to get them to understand what is it that's really important in a relationship. A man is looking at, hey, listen, if she loves me, she supports me, if she treats me like a king, if she, is willing to understand me and not just always jump off the ledge or get attitude, then you know what? Like I can work with that. But a woman wants a man not only to be the protector and provider, but he got to be considerate, he got to be kind, he's got to be thoughtful, he's got to be, has to have a dog, has to love his mother, he has to be good with kids, he has to, like so much to meet when it comes to a man satisfying a woman that I have to break down to the women like, listen, over time, like that's going to be hard to sustain for a man, don't you think? Wouldn't it be hard for a woman to sustain? Well, yeah, but I just don't think. Well, listen. Well, if that is the case, then recognize that it's going to be hard for you to keep someone long term if this is your maintenance plan. If you
Right.
know what I mean, so it's almost like a high price car. Listen, man, them oil changes $400-500. I can't live like that.
That's right.
Listen, I'm not doing it like that right now. So while I would like to, I can't. I might rent you for the weekend. But I'm not finna. I can't expect. I can't spend that type of money or type of wealth on that. So when it comes to relationships, it's the same thing. Listen, this maintenance plan you talking about, like I need something to be able to either keep up with it, or we're gonna have to part ways, because overall I'm not gonna be able to hold up to the standard. And if you want me to stick around, let's look at some of the things that are more valuable. Hey, am I treating you right? Am I, being considerate, trying to, think about your needs as well? Am I, being romantic as I can? Am I trying to work with you and like, am I protecting you? Am I trying to meet you emotionally? All of these things, like those things, I think matter more than did I buy you something this month, or hey, did we go out to eat, this week, or hey, where are we along the lines of our timeline to get a house? And so I'm saying, women nowadays are looking at relationship like it's a business.
Right.
Yeah, hey, well, we love, a marriage is like a business. No, it's not. It's not
Right.
like a business. A man doesn't think, because a man can be with a woman that don't have much and be just as happy as a man with a woman who has everything, who has 6 figures in the bank, because the 6 figures wasn't really what I was looking for. You know what I'm saying? Now, a woman may be like, oh, he got 6 figures. Okay, now we can start from there. Nah, that's not the same thing. So I just think, man, it's just so much to be said. I'm going on rambling. Think about it.
All right. All right. Well, Clarence, excuse me. Tell the fans about your book and where can we find you on social media?
Well, my book is entitled "Come and Talk to Me: The Women's Guide to Why Men Don't Communicate." The reason why I did that is just because I wanted to break down to women that, hey, it's a lot more men willing to talk if you understand how to approach a man, if you understand how to make a man feel comfortable with being vulnerable with you, right? And so you can find that on my website, maletranslations.com. You can also go to my social media, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's all Male Translations. And then I'm trying to get my tag on Twitter switched over, but to Male Translations. But everything is Male Translations, man. We're trying to break down the difference of what men say and women hear, give men a voice, give women insight on relationships, and be the men's voice when it comes to relationships. Just like I said, giving us a platform where it's really, really shrinking right now when it comes to our voice as men. But the world says they need it. So, I think it's on us to be able to at least express how it is that we think, because I think, man, hey, we ain't going nowhere. They might suppress us, but they not going to get rid of us as men. So we have to be able to express what's going on in our minds and what's happening on the dating scene and in relationships with us.
Absolutely. We're going to have to leave it there. We definitely appreciate you being in our
Thank
show,
you.
coming and dropping some knowledge and just having the conversation. It's very rare that you would even see men of color like this having such an open conversation and being transparent to say some of the things that we said. So we definitely appreciate you here on Real Talk.
Thank you,
Exactly.
man. Appreciate the platform, and I'll be sure to do it again whenever you guys need me, man. I'm here for you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Hey,
A
this
lot.
is George,
This is Phrase.
and this is Real Talk with George and Frazier. Thanks for having and listening and laughing.
Yes.